Hey, what's up? Zach Robertson doing another video today. Today I want to go through some checkmates. I want to go through a lot of beginner checkmates, checkmates beginners don't understand or might miss, and checkmates that I think beginners need to know in order to advance into that intermediate state. Even players that are decent or coming up, you might not know one of these mates, and you really need to know all of these checkmates. Otherwise, you might be in a position where you can checkmate somebody and you don't see it because you've never thought about this one before. Or you haven't, I mean, you might still catch it, but you might miss it. So I do jujitsu or whatever, and you might be in a position where when you're fighting, you miss being able to submit somebody, and if you only know the armbar, well, then you're going to keep going for that, and you might give the opponent time to get away and move and do something that you don't want them to do. So, for instance, if we're in a checkmate position like this right here, one of the easiest checkmates, obviously it's Queen to D7 is checkmate, but let's say you didn't know that. You might be trying to corral him and he's moving away and he's getting more opportunity to move and be slippery. And the more you can practice and know these types of checkmates, the better off you'll be and the quicker you'll move up from the beginner stage into the intermediate and advanced stages. So let's dive in. First, I just did the easiest one, the queen checkmate. When a king is on the border or in a corner and a queen can be right up against him, touching him like this, there's nowhere he can go, and that's checkmate. King's protecting the queen, king can't take, we have checkmate. Next, the rook on the backmate rook. When you have a king that is blocked in by his 3 pawns, and he is not here, so if he's at this file right here, then he can slip out. But considering he has no places to go except left and right, he can't come up or down, he has nothing to block, and this is pretty easy checkmate. He can't move anywhere, so if you ever spot something where the king is vulnerable like this, it might happen more often than you think. King gets vulnerable like this, and you have a rook or a queen that can laterally checkmate, take the checkmate. That's pretty it right there. You can do the same thing without the pawns there with 2 rooks. You pretty much make your own line of pawns. So this is still covering all of this like the pawns were. So we don't need his pawns there because we've got our rook there, right? So now we just do the same thing, and that's checkmate because he's got nowhere to go. All right. So if say my rook were down here, then I could go check here or put that here. He has nowhere to move, and then checkmate. We block him in there. We don't want to come immediately here and just get the check because he can move away that way. We start to chase him, you see? Start to chase him. We're chasing him outwards. We don't want to do that. We want to block him in over here. So if we're over here and we want to limit his area, we want to lock him down. So I'm going to put this right here so he has nowhere to move. He can move this. I don't care what he moves because the next move is checkmate. A lot of these, it's good to remember the ideas behind these and not the exact checkmate I'm showing you. You might not have this exact position, but you're going to have something like it. And if you remember the idea behind it, that we're using these as blockades, then you're going to have a better time because we're blockading all these squares. Okay, let's move on. This Anastasia's mate. This is very similar, white to move here, except that the king's on the H file here instead of the instead of up here. He's on the side. He's on the vertical. And so if we're looking at the other one, he'd have 3 pawns here, right? Well, we don't need him to have because he's got 1 pawn here. And our knight is covering these 2 squares. So once again, he is blocked in this open file, and this is checkmate. All right, so this one might be an easy one to miss because it looks like he could slip out anywhere, that this check wouldn't mean anything, but it's very tricky for us and for him to notice. because his pawn is blocking here, and our knight is blocking both of these. So we essentially have that pawn blockade here, except it's our piece is blockading it, and then we have checkmate. Good to remember. You can use your knight this way. You know, you can set that up yourself. Look for where he has only one pawn. Try to get your knight in position, and a rook or a queen to come down and do the final blow. Let's look at the rook mate. So the rook mate, and I'll go over other mates like this in another video. So the rook mate is when you just have a rook and a king left on the board, and he has a king. You'll find this in the end game a lot. You're trading off a lot of pieces. It's getting to the very end, and you find yourself with just a rook, and you're thinking, can I even mate him? Maybe you're playing a 5-minute game, right? And if you're playing a blitz game, then you only have so much time to mate him. If you just keep chasing him around the board, you're going to draw. Or if you're playing even not timed or a long time, you know, after I think it's 50 moves, the game goes to a draw. So you need to make sure you mate this guy as soon as possible. So this is the setup for that rook checkmate. We've got our king here acting as this blockade. Again, we're looking at this blockade as if he had the pawns here like in the first one, except our king is doing it this time. And then the rook can come down and checkmate because he's got nowhere to go. Same as the beginning there. So now you might be thinking, how do I get in this position? This isn't just going to come up for me. This is pretty hard to bring about. It's not that hard to bring about if you know what you're doing. Remember, we're not trying to throw checks at the opponent. We're trying to corral him. We're trying to herd him like sheep into the wall so that we can take him out. So let's do an example here. Let's say we're in the middle here. We just trade off our pieces, and I've just got a rook left. I don't know how to take this king down, right? So we need, think of it as he's on this half, and we're on this half. We want to push him to the wall here, right? We want to push him over to the wall and mate him. So the first thing we want to do is just put our rook here, taking away all these spaces. So now he has this row and up to work with. Now he can come here and go, you know, around all he wants, but eventually he's going to come back, and then we're going to go up one and take away all these squares, and we'll keep pushing them back. Now, if he wants, he can try to fight us on this. He can come here, here. He's got no squares to go except here. So we're going to keep following him, taking away all these squares from him. And if he chooses to go somewhere like here, I'm sorry, I had that backwards. So yeah, so here, he's going to go here. We're going to check, and he can't go to any of these squares. So if he wants to keep going laterally, he's going to have to come here, and then we're going to come here, and he's going to get into a position where he has to see right here. He can't move any of these spaces, so we're going here. So then he has to move back again. And now we get into where we want him. So he's going to move down the line, and we just keep moving and forcing him over. And as we force him over, we don't want to do that because that's, yeah, we want to do that. That's good. And then we go here, and here, and the checkmate we're looking for. So we can herd him into a corner by eliminating his squares and pushing him to the side of the map. You can play this with a computer, level rated 3000, it doesn't matter. As long as you do it correctly, they are not going to be able to escape or trick you or anything. This is a forced win every time. Now you can also do this with a knight and a bishop. That's going to be a whole nother video. That is not a beginner or intermediate thing. I struggle with that. That is a very hard checkmate to maneuver, to practice to get. Once you learn it and understand it, here it gets easier. All right, let's move on. So this one I just wanted to bring in to show you how different pieces can work together, because I've been showing you a lot of queens and a lot of rooks and king. So you know, we've got the rook and the knight and the bishop too. So king in the corner here, or on the side, and once again we'll look at what squares are eliminated by this. We don't want to look at, where our pieces can go to try to get a check. Checks are worth nothing if you don't get a checkmate in the end. So let's look here. Our bishop is firing there. Our knight is blocking here. And our queen is blocking here. So what square does he have? He has this square. This is the only square he's allowed right now. So pretty easy checkmate. We take it away and check him at the same time. Now, it looks quite open, but because all these pieces are working in unison, the bishop's doing those, the knight's doing these, the queen's doing these, the king is completely trapped. And we've taken advantage of that with 3 different pieces working together. Doesn't have to be like those. I just want to throw this in there so you can think creatively and throw together your own checkmates during the game. When you get close to the end game or something, look for different opportunities of where your pieces are eliminating for their king. If you put him in check, where can he move? If I was thinking, I'm just going to put him in check, like right here, suddenly he has a whole lot more squares he can move to. He has all 3 of these, where he only had 1. So we just opened up 2 extra squares for him to run to, and it's going to be harder for us to corral him in now. So taking advantage of when you see, hey, he only has 1 space available, which means, well, see, we got to be careful because this wouldn't be checkmate because when we move our queen, that's not protected anymore. So this is the only good move. Blind swine mate. Alright, this one's kind of fun. We've got the rooks in the back rank with the king. So your rooks in the 7th rank, or the 2nd rank for black, are very dangerous to the opposite color king. Right here, we see just the one move. That is checkmate. King has nowhere to go, can't attack these. And he's blocked by both of these, and he's blocked by his own rook. So that's a very powerful mate to do if you can get your rooks to the other rank, which is, of course, very dangerous. If your king is safe, always go for this, right? So let's look at how this actually works in gameplay. So we've got both our kings, or both our rooks on the back rank. It looks like black is about to mate us in 1 check move, right? That's checkmate right there. No, it's not because of our rook. Let's pretend it is. So the way we can bring this about is we can go here, check, and we're leaving the king with literally 1 option. And then we check. Once again, king has 1 option, and then checkmate. That is kind of how we can take advantage of that from a position that's not already there. So he can't do anything to stop this right now. He's got no other pieces defending these 2 squares. So we're just going to hop in, check, check, and mate. So if you get your pieces on the back rank, look for this mate. Smother mate, my absolute favorite, and the last one we're going to go over in this video. So the smother mate is an aesthetically pleasing mate. Looks great, and it'll make your opponent feel like trash. Win-win. So we got the king here, and he is boxed in by all his pieces. He looks very safe, except for that. Nothing can touch this knight. He can't run anywhere, and the knight is just firing at him over his pieces. They call this a smother mate because the king's smothered in, right? Now, sometimes you'll get it like this, more often than not, and this is one I would say you want to memorize, because if you see this pop up, which it will every now and then, you can take advantage of it, and it just is right on point. It looks awesome. So this is what the normal setup looks like, right? We've got the queen eyeing down here on an empty square, king's in the corner. We've got our knight here looking at this square to deliver the smother mate. And he might have a rook or 2 protecting his king here. So he looks very protected. However, this mate is forcing. So we're going to put the knight here, attacking the king. King, nothing can take the knight. King just has to move here. Now, the queen has a direct diagonal. This is a discovered check through the knight. So once we move our knight, he's going to be in check. So we move our knight right here. and the king is in check from both pieces. So since he's in check from both pieces, he can't simply block like that because he's still in check by the knight. He can't take the knight because he's still in check by the queen. He has 2 places to move. He moves here, immediate checkmate. So no-brainer, he's going to want to move to the corner and give himself a chance. Now we are going to bring this queen right up next to him. He can't take the queen because our rook is our knight is protecting it. So he must take with the rook, and then we have the smother mate. Learn this line, learn this checkmate, because it'll come up more often than you think. I don't want to say it comes up a lot, but you know, I have it come up once every 20 games, and it's very fun to checkmate someone like that. So that's all I got for you today. Those are the checkmates I think you should learn. Let me know what you think. Let me know different checkmates you want me to go over, and let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thanks, guys.